welcome back to my channel. This is Dom and an update, long overdue update on some of my painting projects. It's been a funny old few weeks for me. I went away on holiday and then my wife had an operation and that's taken rather a lot longer than anticipated to recover from. So my gaming and videoing has fallen through the floor, so apologies for that. However, the balance of that is actually my painting has gone up because I haven't had an awful lot else to do. So basically this update's going to be quite lengthy, I'm afraid, so strap yourself in. If you've been watching the Plastic Crack podcast on a Monday night, you'll probably be aware of a lot of this stuff, but I thought I'd take you through it anyway because, you know, people like to see it a bit more than just a photograph. So first up, I'm going to show you some of the Grand Manor buildings that I bought recently. Well, I bought them over Christmas. They are fairly traditional resin buildings and really nice indeed. However, part of the problem with them is they are quite pricey. But over Christmas they had a sale on, and it was a very generous sale actually, and I picked up quite a few bits. And just sort of mainly things just to sort of help the visual impact of the table more than anything else. Couple of actual tray features, but we'll come to those in a minute. Case in point is this windmill. It's a really nice little model. It came unpainted and I just painted it up, dead simple to do. Somebody did suggest I should do a little how-to paintings video on some of these Grand Manor buildings, but you know, as I said, I had to do them all interspersed with doing stuff for my wife and helping her around, and I haven't really had the time to do the videos. So they're fairly, I mean, but they are blooming simple to do, and the same approach I've taken in all of these buildings I'm going to show you. Standard grey undercoat with a Halford's light grey prime, which is my go-to primer. And then the tiles are, I think sometimes I use Grunter fir, and sometimes I use the orangey version, depended on what I fancied. And the walls were basically sort of a heavy dry brush, drag brush I think it's called, of white over the detail basically, all over. Where the steps and these sort of stonework bits are here, I used a sort of deck tan, Martin's favourite, and used that on those. And then when it came to a wash, the tiles were done with a Nuln Oil, and no, they weren't. They were done with Agrax, and all the sort of rocky bits, the bits I'd used the tan on, were used Agrax as well. And then the white bits I did with Nuln Oil, and then went back over it again with another coat to highlight the highlights, if you see what I mean, so that the wash went into the recesses, and that seemed to work beautifully. They've all got nice detail on them, yeah. The original model, the sails go round and the roof lifts off, but I thought I'm never really going to use it as that. It's too small for a building to actually occupy, so it's going to be more of a table feature. So there you go, that's the first one done. Next up, this is, I think it's called a Portuguese grain barn, which I'm really pleased with how this came out. Exactly the same process as I did with the windmill, but here where the brickworks come through, I didn't this time. I did the whole sides with white, and the stonework down below and around the doorway I did with tan. But then when it came to washing, I used Agrax Earthshade here on these exposed bricks, and then over the, in fact I don't think I put any wash over the rest of the white. I just used Agrax, which sort of brought out the browniness of the rocks, which is what I was looking for. And I think it's a really nice little feature. Again, I think I'll use it as an objective in some sharp games, you know, capture, burn the grain, that kind of thing. Lovely door. This one actually the roof came off, but now I've stuck it down because again you're not really going to use it as anything. It's not got any proper windows. It's just got these ventilation windows at the top. So there you go. Another building done. So next up, I've had to pick up the camera because it's a bit too big, so apologies if it gets a bit shaky cam. This is I think it's called Spanish Church. Again, Grand Manor building. Beautiful, big model. I mean, let me put this figure on the balcony here just for scale, so you can see it's a fairly chunky model, which is great. Roof comes off here and also on the tower here, and this bit comes away so you can access the interior if you wish. Really nice model. Spin around here. Really good. Doorway here as well. Again, exactly the same process. A drag brush with the white over the grey undercoat that I used, and then picking out the exposed brickwork with Nuln Oil, Agrax Earthshade, and then over the rest of it this was Agrax, and then dry brushes, Nuln Oil. The black one over the white and the brown one over the rocky bits and around the edges of the doors here and the steps, and then dry brushed over again and highlighted some of the bits. The bell towers are really neat, really nice. This is a two-parter. This bit originally came off, glued it down, and then the crossbeam went in with the whoops, I'm not showing it. Crossbeam went across there with the bell, so this bit popped off, which is a really neat feature. Big model, but will dominate the table, which is kind of what you want for something like this. So there you go, that's another one done. And talking about big models, this was another Grand Manor model. It's a resin terrace, basically supposed to be a terrace, peninsula terrace. You could imagine, we don't have to imagine, put some trees on there to make it look like a sort of olivey grove, that sort of thing. Quite a nice dominating feature for the table. Again, virtually the same process, just a dry brush with the white over the grey, then Nuln Oil, and then another dry brush over the top. The rocks were done with Agrax because I wanted that brownier look, and also the steps also had Agrax. For the deck here, the fields here, I just put loads of Geek Villain basing glue down, and then some of his basing material over the top. I think it was the arid earth, I think it's called, and then I used some of his spray to stabilize the glue over the top, and and then it had a varnish over the top of that, so it's pretty secure now, and then a few extra little tufts just to sort of pop it out. Quite pleased. Nice little feature, or big feature actually, for the table. Will feature in some of my sharp practice games. And talking of pure indulgence, this is a Hillside Shrine, or sort of memorial point, which again I thought would be fun as a sort of objective on the table, or something to write down in orders, you know, advance, turn right at the shrine, that kind of thing. Nice little kit. Actually was quite cleverly done, because the roof and the top beam here came out, so you could actually get into the statue behind if you really wish to paint it up in some way in colour. I chose to just do mine as stone, but I know, having been to Spain and Portugal, you can often see sort of like a Madonna in there that is wearing a blue shawl and what have you, but I didn't do that. I just went pure stone, basically. But nice thought process with it, because, you know, it could have been very easy just to have modelled it with that roof permanently fitted, and then it would have been awkward to paint. As it was, it would have been a lot easier if you'd wanted to. So nice little feature. Another one done. So here we go, another building, but this is not a grand manor. This is actually a plastic Renadra kit. It's a barn. I think it's part of the, I bought it from the Perry website, and I think it's part of their sort of North America range, so you could use it American War of Independence, American Civil War, those sort of things. For as best it could be the French Indian Wars maybe. Nice little kit. Dead simple to make. I did have a bit of trouble getting the roof to fit together. I noticed it's after I finished it, it slipped again, which is really annoying. But it's a rickety barn, so it's got a bit of a hole in the roof. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Nice little kit. Lots of dry brushing. I think contrast paint's mainly used on the on this. The grey one, the basilicum grey over the tiles. The walls, I think, was the leather one, and then some generous washing and a bit of dry brushing and picking out some of the detail. But nice and simple, and another feature for the table. So next up, not terrain. These are Cabellero miniatures, or I think they're now called, I can't think what they're called now, but I'll put it on the underneath. They are 3D printed models. I've shown them off before, the knights that I've put in my Normans in Sicily project. I realised once I bought the first lot that I didn't have quite enough for the unit size I wanted, so I bought a couple more. In fact, I bought about another 5 more. There's 3 more on the painting table. These 2 will join the unit. The standard bearer here on his white horse, and the regular dude with his lance. Not sure where this guy came from. I don't think he's part of the Norman-esque type ones. He looks more like a real wizened old veteran. I think he might be slightly different period, but I thought he was such a lovely model I had to do him up as an old returning Templar. Really nice model. All these 3D printed ones are, and I thoroughly recommend you get them done. You get them if you really are interested in the period. He's got some beautiful barbers coming up, which can play. I mean, the beauty of these Normans is they're designed to be Spanish, but actually you can use them in the Crusades. I know Martin, Seventh Son, is using his for the Crusades. I'm using mine, the Normans in Sicily. They could potentially be the Normans in 1066 and onwards in England, but I think possibly they got a little bit too many fanciness around the sort of bits of cloth and what have you than the Normans there had. But the point is, you could use them pretty much anything, so that's really, really cool. You buy them. You can buy the STL files. Print them yourself if you're capable, or get somebody else to print them for you. I used Graham at Grey Green Printing to print these out for me, because he does them in a really high quality resin, and actually takes all the supports off and everything. So literally they arrive, all you have to do is prime them and get them painted, which is what I did, and very pleased with how they've come out. So talking about our Berber cavalry from Cabellero, these are the latest selection of cavalry that or prints he's produced. These are Moor, Berber, Saracen, you name it, Arabic-y type cavalry, light cavalry with javelins. I think they're just awesome little models. There's a guy here who's obviously the unit commander. He's got mail on. The rest of them are pretty much unarmoured. Although who knows what they got on under their robes, right? Interesting, I used predominantly Army Painter speed paints here for these figures, just to try them out more than anything else. I've been a little nervous because of the reactivation issue that people keep reporting. I can't say I had too much issue, but I did take my time. I think one of the things I noticed, or people commented about the reactivation, was that if you painted too soon on it, it definitely had a problem. So I would take a little bit more time, drying time, between coats, and that seemed to work. Yeah, just use bright colours, bit of a dry brush over the top to make them dusty and kind of deserty kind of, or arid kind of country cavalry, and I really like them. I know he's got some archers coming too in the May Patreon printouts, and I think I probably will get some of those too. So these will be auxiliaries or support option within my Normans in Sicily project. I still don't know what rules list I'm going to use for it, but I'm just painting them up anyway because I love them. So there you go, more figures done. So I've been away from my Wars of the Roses project for quite a while, mainly because I painted up quite a lot of troops and I didn't really need an awful lot more. Inverted commas need. But I have been playing a few more games, well, before this sort of sabbatical, enforced sabbatical. I've been playing some games down the club of War of the Roses using Seventh Son Martin's adaptions from Hail Caesar, which works so beautifully. We've really enjoyed the game. And it got me going again with painting up War of the Roses. So I'm going to say I'm pretty much finished on the project. We'll see how far that is. So this is a sort of odds and sods unit. I was sorting through the cave as I was setting everything up here in the boot room, and the stash of shame fell out very rapidly out of various cupboards and what have you, and out of different boxes. And in there was a number of crossbowmen. Now, you'll probably recognise a couple of the ones at the front here. These are Claymore. I couldn't even think. I was about to say, oh, you recognise them. I've forgotten who they were. Claymore crossbowmen, which are actually from an earlier period. I also had some others, which I don't really know where they came from. I'd picked them up. I think Neil down the club brought them in, and I was painting medievals, and I picked them up for a few pence figure because they were nice sort of standard crossbowmen. And so I think they're all a little bit early period. But I thought, you know what? I'm doing my Clifford group, my Clifford retinue, and I thought I can say, well, you know, they're from the borderlands of Northumbria and Scotland, and you know, they're sometimes a little bit backwards on the technology field. So you know, the fact they're they're crossbowmen that they have in their force is using older armor is perfectly acceptable. And who cares anyway? I'm going to use them if I want to. So that's what I've done. So this is first unit of crossbowmen I've done for a while, ready to rock and roll to support the Clifford faction. So then, having done the crossbowmen for Clifford, I thought I'd better finish off some of the other figures that I'd sort of partially got done. So I had this unit of 12 mounted knights. They're periplastics. I'd made them up. They were undercoated. I just hadn't got around to painting them, so I thought, right, let's do them. So this becomes a unit of heavy knights for Clifford. They were fun to do, actually. I quite enjoyed it. I've kept them fairly armoured. Some of them, majority of the horses have got barding on them, some haven't. I've predominantly taken, I know uniforms weren't really a thing in this period, but I've stuck to the rule of cool and predominantly used whites and reds just to sort of show that Clifford colour, and 3 of them are carrying the Clifford standard. Just to make sure you absolutely know whose faction they belong to. On the back of a couple of them, one there, the guys in white, they are griffins or dragons from 15mm Vini Vici shield transfers, the really old-fashioned ones. And the 15mm is actually quite a good scale to fit on the back of a 28mm figure. So that's what I've done on a few of them. I've done it on some of the infantry. They're just not as easy to spot as they are on these fellas. So there you go. That's the knights ready to support Clifford. A Clifford. So then I thought, well, I need another commander. I've got a Clifford stand on a horse, and I thought I need another one because this force is growing quite large. So I did this. So Clifford doesn't appear to have had many retinue or many lords in his retinue. Don't know why that is. Maybe he just wasn't rich enough for them, or maybe he wasn't liked enough. I don't know. But after he died before the Battle of Towton, his troops continued to fight at Towton, and it's believed that that they were controlled by his brother Robert. So I've done Robert. So this is Robert. I think this is a War Games Illustrated limited edition figure, which I had in the collection. It's probably a bit early again for this period, but I don't care. Again, they're from the borders, so I'm gonna put the kind of armour on I want. It's just a nice figure, and I thought it was a bit different. So there you go. I think he's the War Games Illustrated figure. This I think is a Perry figure, and this one I think is a front rank figure. All done and based up, ready to go. Now, I believe everything I've looked up on his this guy Robert, he wore yellow, or his arms were yellow. I can't find his flag, so on the back of his shield I've used another sort of dragon figure, just to sort of show that he's part of the Clifford clan, although he probably would have had his own, but as I say, I can't find that, so it'll do for now, and I'm quite pleased with how this stand has come out. So another unit of Bill and Bow for Clifford. This is one of his bowman's bows is bent. Actually, it might be broken. Gonna have to fix that. They won't shoot very well with a broken bow, will they? So this is a mixture of Perry plastics, I think. Actually, I think this is almost entirely Perry plastics. This guy at the back might be a metal one, but 90% plastics. Actually, there's another metal on there at the front. So just done them in their predominantly white outfits with the dragons on their breast and on their back. Again, on the ones where I could fit them, I've used the Vini Vici transfers, and on others I've tried to freehand it, which don't do to be too closely inspected, but they'll do from the 3-foot rule. So that's another unit of Bill and Bow finished. And finally for Clifford, this is a unit of men-at-arms for his forces. These are a real mixed bag. I think there's some old citadels, there's I don't know where this lot came from. I suspect they might be from my mate Sean, Metal Mercenary channel, if you get a chance to check out his awesome paint jobs. I think he might have sent me some, but these are, let's say, a real mixed bag of metals, and I've painted them up very much as that, and they'll just be fun on the table. So another unit of men-at-arms, this time for the Clifford faction, ready to see the table. So I did warn you this was going to be a long video, I'm sorry about that. So having got the flavour for doing the Clifford War the Roses figures, I thought I'd carry on through the stash of prepared but unpainted figures that I had in the box ready to go. And next up popped out these front rank handgunners, which I've already got a couple of units of handgunners, so that, strictly speaking, don't really need any more, but I thought, well, you know, what the hell, I might end up playing some solo games, and therefore having you know, more than one faction's worth is always good. I painted these ones up in the Burgundian uniforms. Again, how much there was actually uniformity in this period is questionable, but they look good from distance, so that's the main way of doing it. So they've got the half blue and half white, and then the sort of red cross on the front and back of their tunics. So they're front rank metals. Not much more to say about them, but except more ticked, more done. So then I know that my mate Martin is looking for me to bring along my Exeter faction for the big game he's got planned at CrackCon in May in Derby. He wanted me to bring along Exeter troops to support the faction, the Lancastrian faction, which I'm happy to do. And I thought, well, while I'm painting up the backlog of figures, or getting through the already based or already prepped figures that I had, I might as well do a couple more units for Exeter. So that's what I've done. So this is another Bill and Bow unit, dead simple. Again, sort of uniforms, if you like, or heraldry on them, half red, half white surcoats, and then they have a sort of a yellow goldy sheaf of corn or wheat on their back and on their breast, which I've just sort of dibbed in with a bit of a yellow paint. I'm quite pleased with how this unit came out. Again, it's a mixed bag. There's some metal figures. These are definitely metals here, and then some Perrys in amongst them. Again, I think this was as I was getting towards the end of my prepping of figures and sort of pulling together figures from all over the place to make up units. But I kind of like that. I think it gives that sort of ragtag look is kind of cool. So there you go, another unit completed. So next up, this is a unit of men-at-arms for my Exeter force. I like to try and actually this is really from guidance from Martin's seventh son. He suggested that use a sort of one of the retinue or one of the lords that were oh god, this is shit, I can't think of the words. Start again. So next up, this is a unit of men-at-arms for my Exeter faction, led by one of his retainers. This is Lionel, Lord of Wells, who had that yellow flag with the what is it? A lion, I think it is, a sort of lion griffin kind of, very much a standard heraldry kind of figure. I thought it was a great sort of counterpose to the white and the red of Exeter, to have some of these yellow liveried troops banded in amongst them. So that's what I've done. These are predominantly metal figures. Getting towards the end of the well, this is the end of my pre-painted or pre-based and well, get this right, Dom. Getting towards the end of my prepped, undercoated, assembled figures. So sort of a collection of bits and bobs left over, really. I think some of these figures are old Citadel ones. Some of them are actually earlier period, probably from the Agincourt period. But I think they kind of go together quite nicely. They kind of make a ragbag unit of veterans, which the men-at-arms should be. You can see, as I say, I've mixed in the yellow and on some of the yellows, I mentioned before about using Vini Vici shield transfers at 15mm. These ones are actually 25mm Vini Vicis, and they sort of actually go on quite well on some of the broader backs of some of those men-at-arms. Had to trim them a little bit, and they're a bit awkward to position, but a bit of the transfer solution that sort of makes it more supple to use, and they seem to have positioned okay, so quite pleased with how it came out. So there you go, another unit of Exeter men-at-arms ready to see action. And finally, for now, I had some Perry casualty figures. So I have made them up in a variety of different colours and what have you, put them on the war bases casualty counter things, so you can turn them around. Just looks a little bit brighter on the table than counters. So I think I've now got probably about 24, which should be more than I possibly need, hopefully, unless I do some massive battles. But that is a good way of rounding off the project, and I'm going to say my War of the Roses project is finished. Oh, sad, really. Anyway, hope you're doing well, hope you're staying safe. Hopefully you'll be seeing a bit more regular content again from me soon. I need to resume my shot practice play along game. I've also got some ideas of other videos. I've got loads of battle videos that I'm trying to edit. They just take my long form recording version takes a long time to record or to edit into some sort of semblance of normality, so that does slow the pace a little bit, but hopefully a bit more normality from me in terms of videos, and thanks for bearing with me. Hope you're doing well, stay safe, stay well, and I will see you again soon. A Dom project over? I think not.